Hi, today we are going to attempt to pickle some peaches. That's right, I don't want to ferment them, I want to pickle them. These peaches came from my brother and his wife, and they are sitting on my kitchen bench, and they've been in the sun for a little bit just to get a little bit softer because they're quite hard when we pick them. So now I want to get them into some jars. Let's give it a go. I'm going to make up the recipe as I go. We'll wing it. So stick with me. I'll go and get dressed and ready. So I'm back with my peaches. Wrap them. I've actually got to do a rolling boil dip in rolling boiling water. So these are all my peaches. It looks like I'm going to have to do them in batches. And then I'm going to scoop them out with a strainer and then pop them straight into an ice bath. And what I do is shrink the skin on them so that I can peel it very easily. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so just loading a couple of them up, and I'm going to carefully pop them into the hot water. You can leave them in there for about 30 seconds, and after 30 seconds, they should be warm enough, hot enough, without actually cooking them through. You don't want to cook them through, you just want to get them hot enough that when they do end up in the ice bath, it makes them shrink and the skin will come away easily. Watch this space. It's amazing how many seconds there are in 30 seconds. How long a second takes. So I'm popping them straight into my ice bath. Been in there quite a bit. A lot of my ice is melted, so it is quite cool. And I'll keep going with that. I'll just leave them in the ice bath and then I'll test it. Once they're cooled down a little bit, I'll test them to see how easily the skin comes off. Okay, so I've got my ice bath. And I've taken one of my peaches out, and I'm just going to see how easy it is to peel that. Got a little paring knife. Yeah, the peels are not peeling off as easily. So that to me says maybe a little bit longer in the hot water. That's okay. So that's kind of working on some of the more squishy ones. I might peel them first and then I'll chop them later. You can hear the boil. Yeah, it's not working on a lot of them. I think they're just underripe. You have a go, you do it. As I say, I'm no expert at any of this, but I have a go, you know. Give it a go, mate. Now this last lot have been in there for so much longer. And look, I can peel. It's only because I want to show you. But it is peeling off. My only downside of that is that I don't want to cook it that long that I'm going to lose all that nutrition that's in the more raw version of the peach. I don't know. You tell me if you got a better way. I've done it before and it worked better with riper peaches. So I'm peeling these and that was a good catch. Instead of dicing them straight away, I'm popping them back into the cold water because what I've found is if you let them soak for a bit, the flesh, not the skin, the flesh actually peels off so much quicker, especially if you've got underripe ones. It's just, look, it's coming off like butter. So that's a tip. Let them soak in the water for a little bit before you start getting the seeds out. So going back to my Thermomix, if you go into the search panel on your home and just type in the word peach and hit peach, it comes up with this beautiful pickled fruit salad with honey labneh, summer fruits in mulled cider syrup. I'm going to hit on that one and I'm going to check. Rather than starting with my own recipe from scratch, I'm going to check to see what that has. I'm going to use this as a base on my computer. I'm going to jump onto my laptop, open up my cookiedoo.com recipe and find summer fruits in mulled cider syrup. Let's go back up here. Let's go and find this one, and if I go up here, I can add to my week just to make it easy. I'm going to do that for today. I'll come back to that. How many peaches I've got.
I actually want to weigh them.
Just use the manual, go to manual mode. I could have done that myriad ways. I hit the scales down here, and I'm going to take my little cap off my lid, and I'm just going to pop those with the basin, even though I haven't teared out the basin. I could get another basin exactly like it and tear it out. Okay, so I've got another basin to tear it out completely. I'm going to hit the tear button. The basin only weighs 105 grams. Take that off, tear it again, pop this back on. It's now saying it weighs 1,007 grams. So if I took 100 grams out of that, that would be, so let's say around 900 grams of peaches. Or any preserving, and you're putting salt in. Salt is a preserver, but so is sugar. People don't count that into the percentage factor if they're using sugar. But anyway, you're supposed to do at least 2% salt to the volume of fruit and water and everything else that you add to it. You're supposed to weigh that and do 2% of it. So I'm just going to show you on my laptop where I'm in my Cookie Do account. And it says summer fruits in mulled cider syrup on here. Now there's 3 dots just here. Click on those and add to created recipes. Now we've gone back into created recipes. It goes into there automatically. I can change the name of it, and I probably will. I'll probably call it pickled peaches in spicy syrup is probably what I will call them. And then I can adjust everything on here, so I can click on here and click on how long it took me to make the product, to prepare it. If we're talking about just the syrup, it might only take 10 minutes, but I tell you, if you're cutting up a whole bunch of peaches like I just did, it's going to take a lot longer. Then it's talking about cooking time. Well, 45 minutes is probably right when you get through a whole batch. Then we have the ingredients on the left. I can edit those. So I can, for example, click on edit, and I can go to, let's say I can click on any of those and change it. I can make that 1 star anise instead of 2, for example, and hit the little tick. Or I can go down and add another ingredient. So for example, I wanted 20 grams of salt because we just weighed the product and we need some salt in it. I might put 20 grams of salt in there. Then when you come over to the preparation steps, it gives you the ability to click on any of those and edit them. So down here it's going to have the cooking settings. So it allows you to do the manual mode. We can do how many minutes you want it to cook for, or stir for, or chop for. There's a ability to add the temperature there that you want the element, the heating element in the pot. The whole pot is a heating element. You want that to increase in temperature. There's a select your speed there. So 10 is obviously when you're going to mill something. For example, if I mill my rice, it does it on 10 speed, and it turns it into the most powdery rice powder rice flour you've ever seen. There's one here to stop the speed at all. So it's just going to stir if you want it, or it's not going to do anything. I'm actually still learning about these. So you can just click off anywhere on the screen if you want to get out of there. Let's go back in there and see. It's got the ingredients list here. Now this already has instructions in there, and I can change those up. If I want the ingredients to appear so that I can measure them, I can include their little scale down here. So 50 grams of brown sugar to taste. That ingredient will come up in those lists of ingredients on the left side of the recipe that allows the machine to then offer you the opportunity to use the scales. So notice it just has a summary. Place all the ingredients except the cider into the mixing bowl and cook for 5 minutes on 100 degrees at speed 1. See the speed there is 1. It's just going to stir it really slowly. I'm not quite sure how to add the reverse. Oh, here. Yay, reverse or normal. So you can make it go in reverse. And the reason you would go in reverse is because that means it's going to go on the blunt side of the blades and it's just going to stir it, not chop it. Interesting. Which is what I want to do in this particular case. I don't need it to chop anything. I might change that later. Let's go back and just leave it as it was. Anyway, down here you've got another step. It's in more detail and it's actually put the ingredients inside. Let's see, orange zest. Orange zest, 1 orange zest only, no white pith. Kind of the ingredients and the scale symbol, isn't it, really? Anyway, I have to do more research and learning on that myself. But you just add as many steps as you like. You can add another one. Let's go to the dots and just delete that step. And you can hit confirm. And then when you slide down, this tips comes up. So you can actually edit the tips as well and put anything, get rid of what is in there and put something else in there. The reason I do find a recipe that's similar is because it just saves me time having to set it all up and try and guess the speeds and the temperatures and things like that. Helps me to learn. Spiced Pickled Peaches, there we go, by Felicity Wells. Okay, so get on to cookie dough. It's worth it. I keep all my recipes in one place and I can then, let me show you what else I can do really quickly. Then I can see Spiced Pickled Peaches by Felicity Wells there. I can open it up and hit those dots and say add it to my week. And that will come up on my recipes on my Thermomix, my TM7. So let's start making the pickling sauce or pickling juice, whatever you want to call it. I just want to show you. I've actually made my Spiced Pickled Peaches by Felicity Wells on my computer. I've added them to here and I'm going to start that. I'm going to change up that photo after I have a photo of mine at the end. That's something you can do. See, it's got the list of ingredients there. Perfect. 900 grams of peaches and I've got those here. And I've got all my other ingredients set out on my bench. Let me get started making it, shall we? Well, first thing you do is hit the start button and it gives you a little warning about this has been modified, this recipe, so it might not work because Thermomix and Cookie do test all their recipes. So any amateur recipes that people like me throw together that haven't been tried and tested, they'll give you a little warning that says this recipe is not an official Thermomix recipe. Please follow the general safety instructions and carefully monitor the cooking process to avoid injury. So please follow that. Hit the next button and it says to place all my ingredients into the Thermomix except for my peaches. So I'll put my peaches over here out of the way. Okay, so place all ingredients except peaches and salt into the mixing bowl, which I left over there. Cooking it for 5 minutes on 100 degrees C on speed 1. It's going to go in reverse. So it says add 500 grams of water. I want to do that first. So I hit the scale because I've got to go back in and fix up the order in which the instructions are. I've got actually the cooking bit right at the top. We'll fix that up later. So we're going to put 500 grams of water. I'm just guessing this recipe, right? So I'm just going to do what I think is a good amount. Now, if I put too much in there, you can just go and pick the jug up, pour some back. So that's good. I'll tick that one. I'm going to tear that out again. 250 grams of apple cider vinegar. Now, this is a 500 ml bottle, so I'll just tear that. I'll get that jug out of the way. Sometimes if something's next to the Thermomix, it affects the scale a little bit. Okay, 254 grams there. 100 grams of dark brown sugar. 99, 100, there you go. Sometimes it takes a little while to think about whether or not you've put in the right amount. And if you just wait a couple of seconds, it will level it out and say, yeah, I like that amount. Good to go. I just wanted to add a little bit of a different dimension because that dark brown sugar that I'm using is it's made from molasses, I believe. It's very strong. Yeah. So 100 grams of normal sugar, caster sugar. This is going to be very sweet pickle, isn't it? Yeah, I can hear some of my friends, some of my sisters cringing watching this. Wasn't it? Stop putting sugar. It's an experiment, people. It's just an experiment. If it fails, I'll let you know. Okay. 1 stir anise. You know we learn more by our failures than our successes, don't you? Yeah. So, star anise. No, there's something about star anise. Just love it. They're not a licorice fan, I understand. Well, no, I don't really. Okay, 1 star anise. My cinnamon quill. I'm actually going to chop this up later into 2 jars. So it fits into 2 jars. So I might just crunch it up now. Maybe I should have left it in one because it might be a bit harder to get out later. Put the whole divine cinnamon stick. Now, I've run out of cinnamon sticks. Hang on 1 sec and I will be back. So, yes, I'm back. I had to do that. I had to go and write cinnamon sticks on my shopping list because I'll forget. 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. I'm going to do that. 1/2 teaspoon? Yeah, I'll just 1/2 teaspoon. Just to make sure there's a lot of cinnamon flavour. Gosh, I'm going to have to order some more cinnamon too. This is just the Hoyt's one from Woolworths, but I might get some from my Green Valley friends. I don't live near there anymore, but I used to. Hopefully I'll be able to still get them through their online store. Don't actually know exactly where they're based, but they do sell them in Sydney. They might sell them in other locations that are closer to where I am now. 1/4 teaspoon of cloves. I've not opened this one before. So, I'm just going to do a half. Cloves is very strong, so even 1/8 teaspoon might be enough. I'm going to find that out the hard way. And 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg as well. Where are we? I hate these. Guys, Woolworths, who's ever organising these things. Sometimes I just cannot get the lids off them to get my spoon in, or even use the sprinkle option. So, but they're great for transport, I guess. They're not going to come off in transport, which is, I guess, their priority. That was my nutmeg. 1/4 teaspoon of cardamom. Now, I found some cardamom powder. I don't know if you've seen this brand before, but I grabbed this from Little India down at a little supermarket at Little India in Sydney near Parramatta. Beautiful, beautiful spices. That's when I lived around the corner from it, so I was supporting my locals. I absolutely love cardamom. I'm going to throw that in there. And I might have to order some more cardamom powder. It's my cardamom powder. I would put some cardamom pods in there too, if I had them. A teaspoon of, actually let's jump down to the ginger. So a quarter of a teaspoon of ginger. I'll just grab my scissors and do it the proper way. Not with my teeth, which I have been known to do on camera. Oh, so smells yummy. Quarter teaspoon of ginger. Ginger's going to add a little bit of a spice. I have been tempted to put chili in this, but I'm going to resist. And for that purpose, I'm also going to use some of the beautiful Budrum ginger. Shout out to Budrum ginger up in Queensland in Australia. They make the crystallized ginger. This is just perfect, especially if you're a traveler. So they're very sugary, but if you're a traveler like me and you get seasick, airsick, car sick, motion sickness, it's called, Felicity, yep. You might like to put some ginger in your suitcase or your handbag or backpack when you're getting onto the plane or whatever it is, and chew on it regularly. It will save you, especially on speedboats. Helped me a lot going over to one of my son's places. Put about 4-6 pieces in there. 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So I'm just going to use a cupful. It's pretty much 1 teaspoon. And that will go well. Let me just wipe that off. So I've kept the plastic covering over the top of my thermo so that I can keep wiping it off without affecting the screen. Scrolling up the top back to where it said 5 minutes at 100 degrees and speed 1 in reverse. I'll just hit that and it says pop my lid on. Pop my lid on. Just note that even though I've got my thermo next to hot plates, I never have the hot plates on when I'm, or the oven for that matter, when I'm cooking in my Thermomix, and I move it away from the stove when I'm cooking. That's one of the safety precautions with Thermomix, is to make sure it's not near a hot surface. I'm going to come back in 5 minutes. Okay, so it's finished the first 5 minutes of cooking, so it's not going to be very syrupy yet. You'll notice that the thermo is bright red here, and that's the reflection of this light down here. That's telling me that it's hot in there, so be careful. So when you take your lid off, I haven't hit the 5 minutes to tick it to say yes, I want to go on to the next step yet, because there is a repeat button down here underneath this picture that's telling me I've taken the lid off now and I need to put it back. But what I'm going to do, and this is the beauty of the TM7, it's open cooking, so you can open the lid and test things out. I'm going to just take a little bit of the flavour. I don't want to put my head right in there because the fumes of vinegar is very strong, even on the spoon. Let's have a taste. And smell. Just be careful because it does make you want to cough. It's actually smelling really, really delicious. Oh, it's not too vinegary. It's beautiful. Actually, that's really, really good. I can tell the only thing missing is salt. Oh, I'm tempted not to put as much salt as they want me to. Let's see how much salt I put in. Okay, the scale is going to measure it, so that's the beauty of Thermomix. You don't have to change anything. So I've got 16 grams in there. It tells me to do 20. Beautiful little ceramic spoon I got from Vietnam earlier in the year. And anyone wanting to know where my bowl is from, it's a Temu product, isn't it? I do love some of their products. Okay, so that's my 20 grams of salt in there. It says to put the lid back on, that's telling me there, and to cook it. The temperature's gone down from 80 degrees to 75 while I was doing that. So it's telling me to cook for another 7 minutes on 80 degrees, and it's going to do it in reverse on speed 1. So it's just going to stir it a little bit for me. Okay, so I hit start and I'll come back in 7 minutes. What I'll talk about until then, I have prepared my jars. I've popped my peaches into my jars just in preparation. I have managed to get 2 full, I think they're 500 gram Moccona jars. I don't buy big things of coffee normally, but I do love the Moccona jars. And if I do buy coffee in a big jar, I will decant it into smaller jars so that it can keep its freshness for longer, because there's nothing worse than drinking instant coffee that is old. A lot of people swear by the percolated coffee. I do have a percolator as well. Thank you to Sophia and Terry for that. Yes, it's nice, but you know, when you're brought up on instant, it's really hard to change. Now that wasn't enough time for me to do much other than wash my dishes and put all the spices and everything else away that I still had lingering. Now is the time to carefully take off the lid again. Just give it a little bit of a wriggle, jiggle, scrape, whatever. There's nothing on the sides there. I'm mostly just letting the fumes out for a little bit. I love these Asian spoons, and I could only find them in Vietnam. I could find them online from Temu, but they weren't the same. The ones from Temu, I'll show you. As with most things from Temu, look at the size difference. And the Temu one doesn't have a really sharp edge like these ones do, or sharper edge. I'm going to go in with this one, get some more sauce. Now remembering that we put some salt in. Yeah, I don't want to put any more salt in than that. That really does balance out the sweetness. So it doesn't taste too sweet anymore. I would even use that in a sweet and sour pork or something. Type recipe, beautiful. Now what I'm going to do is, I think I will go another 7 minutes. I might even take it up a little bit higher, just so that it's going to caramelize a little bit more while it's still hot. So do that. If I tap the instruction of cooking at 7 minutes, 80 degrees, speed 1, if I tap that, it will open up the manual mode, and I can actually scroll up and increase the time. I'm thinking I'm going to go and have some lunch. I might even let it cook for 15 minutes. And by that time, it should really have a really nice, stronger flavour. So as soon as I hit the triangle, see how it's changed to 15 minutes now? It's different to what the recipe says. So even though you're inside a recipe, you can still edit the recipe as you're going. And that's the whole beauty of this thing. So I'm going to leave that and I'll be back with you. It's nearly 2 o'clock. I still haven't eaten lunch. That's a typical day for me, simply because I wanted to eat some rice. And I don't always have the Thermomix available to make my rice. And to be honest, I don't believe the Thermomix does do away with every other appliance in your kitchen, but it can help with being a double up for things that you do need. So while I've got my pickle sauce going in here, I've also got some rice going in my favourite rice cooker. It's a Medea rice cooker. So that's cooking up my rice now, so I can have some tuna and some of my previously homemade pickled cucumbers. That'll be another recipe. So this is finished. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a taste. So already I can feel the sugar. It's getting creamier or silkier. I've got my jars ready. Let's just tick to go to the next instruction. It says divide my peaches. I've already done that into the jars. Tick that and hit next. Strain the pickling syrup through the simmering basket. So this is our simmering basket, and the simmering basket fits really nicely in the top of the Thermomix bowl. And you would normally, if it was hot, not that it's very hot now, you'd use your Thermomix spatula to get it out again. Okay, and that's how you hold it like that. So I've got a bowl here rather than a jug. It says to put it in a jug. And I'm just going to use my simmering basket as a strainer. So I'm going to take this off here. It's gone down to yellow now in temperature. So that means it's still warm enough for me to use it the way I want to use it. I'm going to pull out all those ingredients. So I could have done that the other way around so you could have seen what I was doing. So there's not much mess in there. If anything gets caught up in the blade, when it cools down, you can unlock it here, and so like that, and this silver thing will come out. And you can also, because it's a bit hot, pull the blade out as well. And that's way you can get to all the ingredients that might be stuck around the blade. I'll leave that to sit there because I've taken the blade out. It's not easily going back in. Now, there's some things in here in the basket. There's the cinnamon stick and the ginger, things like that. I can choose to put them back in. The thing with doing that is it will intensify the flavours as time goes by. Do I want to do that? I don't know. Or maybe I'll just pop the gingers in and leave the cinnamon out. I think that might be the way for me to go this time. So just before we go any further, I might just take the lids off and I'll try popping some of that extra ginger. I think there was 6 pieces. So that's 3 pieces in each jar. So that'll be all right. I won't push them down the sides. I can choose to put some cinnamon stick in there, but it's got cinnamon in it. If I feel like later on I want to add some more cinnamon, I can, the powdered form. I'm not going to, because the cinnamon bark is quite, it breaks up, and I'd hate someone to get a mouthful of that. Okay, so I'm just going to pour my, good thing about this basin, this one was from Daiso. It's where you can rest your spoon across it, but it also creates little pores. So I'm just going to pour my juice in. And the good thing is that if you have too much juice, which I think I do in this case, you can use it in stews and soups and things. Well, I wish you could smell what I can smell right now in this kitchen. It's just divine. And I'll put that lid on. These Makona jars aren't really designed for preserving for a long time. So I'm just going to use these in my fridge, and I may give one jar away. That's my peaches. That's it. Decorate them as you like. Don't forget to rinse out or wash up your beautiful Thermomix. I just wanted to add that I got 2 500-gram or 500ml jars worth of pickles or pickled peaches out of around, it was 900 grams after they were peeled and sliced. And I also had some left over with that quantity, which is going to be handy because I still have all these ones to go. But I'm not in the mood. And I'm going to sit them back in the sun just so that they can soften a bit more. Now, if you see that they start floating upwards, or that there's the juice reduces, it's probably an inch of more of juice that I can put in there, which is great because I've got that extra juice. So I can just pour some more in there and put the lid back on. So that's one good thing about having extra juice. Now, most people would put a weight in there, a little one of those little glass cylinder weights, or I've seen people use crystals, whatever stone they can find that was clean, to hold the items or the peaches underneath the liquid longer. They're going in my fridge anyway, and I am going to be you know, shaking them up every day just to make sure that the flavours get around to all the peaches. There's no hidden spots that aren't getting that beautiful liquid onto them. I would leave them in the fridge for possibly as long as possible. I think they're just going to increase in flavour. Look out for any mould that might appear on the top. There shouldn't be any mould appearing. When you finish your peaches, and if you find that you've got a whole heap of juice left in your peach jar that hasn't been used, you can add that to other recipes as well. Okay, so happy pickling. Thanks for watching, and subscribe if you liked that, because I will be doing some more. Okay, thank you. Bye.